Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Kim Shapira, who's here to share with us her new book, This is What You're Really Hungry For. 6 simple rules to transform your relationship with food to become your healthiest self. So are you tired of your on-again, off-again relationship with dieting? Today, Kim breaks down the science to get your brain and your body on board, replaces fad diets that do not last with a sustainable method that encourages you to eat what you love and empowers you to be the authority in your own body. So Kim is a celebrity dietitian with a BS in exercise kinesiology from Tulane and an MS in human metabolism and clinical nutrition from Boston University. Kim has spent the last 25 years helping people lose weight and keep it off in her private Los Angeles practice. In addition, she has worked in hospitals, sports clinics, and addiction centers. Kim's work has become the Kim Shapira method, a focus on 6 rules that helps her clients develop and sustain a normal relationship with food. So let's welcome to the show, Kim Shapira.
Thanks, Marianne. I'm so happy to be here.
My goodness, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. So you've got to tell me, what inspired you to write this?
Oh my gosh, good question. Well, I've been in practice for a very long time, and it has I've always just felt like I had all the answers to helping people overcome messy relationships they have with food. And I just felt so like empowered to make sure that I spread it to as many people as I could.
So why don't we talk a little bit about your background? So why don't you share with us how it is that you even got involved in this line of work?
I would love to. So I'm a registered dietitian. My degree is in human metabolism and clinical nutrition, and my undergrad degree is in exercise science and kinesiology. And the reason why I even went to college and picked this degree was because I loved the human body and I had been a sick kid. And so what I have learned through my practice is that every human develops between 3 and 5 emotional triggers in the first 6 years of their life. And when they go through something traumatizing, they develop new triggers. And then you spend the rest of your life kind of mastering them. So what's interesting is, in addition to the ones you develop in your youth, for me, it would be definitely 9/11, COVID. Everybody is going to be affected by COVID differently and working on mastering that trigger. And when I was 12, I got sick, and being sick really led to me wanting to be healthy. And I knew that taking care of my body through movement and through food could really make or break me. And so I picked a career where I could pretty much help everybody that I came in contact with get healthy. And to be honest, that was actually part of a learning curve for me, because I can basically show or lead the horse to water, but I can't make the horse drink the water. And so that was another kind of trigger for me, that I can't make people want to be healthy, but I can find a way to introduce this idea of how food can impact our health. And it's been, an evolution, right? I've been mastering this for 25 years, working on myself, longer actually. But what happened was I picked a career in food because I knew that food could make people healthy. And then I realized that my clients didn't so much care about their health. They cared about their weight. They cared about the way that they looked. And so this was, very problematic for me because it was affecting everything. And so I really decided I wasn't going to put people on diets, even though that was my formal training. And I started kind of figuring out, I think my clients are eating the exact same way that I shop. And when I was younger and I was in the hospital, I would go see my specialist every Wednesday at UCLA for years, actually. And my mom would always say to me, or she had said to me very early in the beginning, don't cry, we'll go shopping, after the appointment. And like the way that she said it was very loving. I mean, it was like the most loving mom ever, right? She is the most loving mom, but she would say, it's okay. I know you're sad, but here's something to look forward to. And what had happened is I would spend the entire time at my doctor's appointment thinking about what I was going to buy. And this became such a very automatic coping mechanism for almost every emotion I had. And I used to think I loved to shop, and that was just, I loved new things. But when it came down to it, I realized I needed these things because I wasn't okay with how my body was feeling and what emotions were going on in my body. And so when I started paying attention to my clients' patterns and behaviors, that's really when I started changing the way that I was coaching them, and also pulling back, recognizing I needed to meet them where they were at without judgment. Not that I had any before, but without judgment. And so I can open doors for them. And that's really why I decided to write this book, and why I do what I do every single day with my clients is I feel like I can help them. I know how.
Well, I think that a lot of people would agree with you because of the success this book has had. And so I just want to congratulate you on that. I've seen it number one bestseller in some categories. And so what a big deal that is.
Thank you.
And do you start your book off with something I think it's like when people look at this, they just want to go, what? How is this even a place to start? Eat when you're hungry. I mean, how do I know when I'm hungry?
Yeah. And why aren't more people talking about it? It was very interesting. And I shared this in the book, but when I was in graduate school and doing my internship, I was working at a weight loss clinic where these folks were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800-pound folks. They were in this weight loss clinic. They were doing weight loss shakes. Now, again, what year was this? 1997. So this is where we were. And they were doing weight loss shakes in Boston. And they would manage to have 3 of these shakes a day. And so just for fun, I kind of decided I'm going to try that with them. If this is what they're doing, I want to experiment for one day. And in general, I'm a very hungry person. I eat, often, and what I need when I need it. And so on this particular morning, I got up, I took the shake, and literally 30 minutes later, I thought, there's no way I can get on the tea without eating. Like I am dying of starvation is really how I remember this. So I ended up getting on the tea, going to work that day, and really being dumbfounded and saying to every single person, how are you doing this? How are you having a shake and not doing anything else today? Like, how are you functioning? And they were equally dumbfounded. Like, what do you mean hungry? What do you mean I can't function? So all this time they were eating. It's kind of like I had answers before I even knew what I was asking. They were not even paying attention to hunger. They were just paying attention because they were just eating for all these other reasons. And so it comes down to food is fuel. Our human body needs food every couple hours, just like our bladder tells us we have to pee. We need food, and it's should be based on how much food we need in this moment, trusting we're going to eat again in a couple hours. I mean, historically, most people have had 21 meals every single week their entire life, can't remember any of them, and completely forgets in this moment they're going to eat again later or tomorrow, right?
Yes. I mean, most of the time we are not even that focused on it. It could be we're grabbing something quickly before we run out the door. If we're doing shakes, we wish we weren't. I mean, there are lots of different options. I think that people look at, go, gosh, the idea is if I am to get healthy, I have to do X, Y, Z.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's so heavily layered and guilt-ridden and full of shame and persecution and diet culture, truly.
So how do you feel about like calorie counting? Because I know some people are really big into that.
Yeah. I mean, I am in the belief of everything you think you know, let's leave it outside the door and start in this moment and just pay attention to what your body needs. We have what's called a basal metabolic rate, which is our basic needs. Our body needs calories to breathe, to sleep, to digest food, for all functions, right? That's our basal metabolic rate. And based on our height, so if somebody is 5 feet tall, they need 1,200 calories minimum for their heart and their brain to function. If and a man and that's for a woman, excuse me, for a man, he needs about 1,400 for the same functions. So we don't really need to count calories because our body is already going to tell us how we're doing. So I would move away from calories. It's not important. And what happens is it becomes this like, what do we just become? Well, we become triggered by it, and we also overthink it. And so it's almost magical thinking. We don't need to be worried about calories. We need to be focusing on what does my body need right now and trust that it will tell us what it needs. What's really interesting about our body is that it likes to eat the same amount of food in weight, not in calories. It likes to eat the same amount of food in weight as the day before. So our body is this self-regulating, amazing system, right? And we live inside of this system. We're not responsible for our heart beating or our lungs breathing, our stomach digesting, or even our mind thinking. I mean, I'm in the middle of a conversation with you, so I can tell my mind, this is the direction I want to go. But in general, my mind is kind of like checking out my environment 24 hours a day, looking at what I'm seeing, smelling, feeling, hearing, touching, all these things. And it's keeping me safe, and it wants to do it in the most pleasurable way. But our body self-regulates for one mission, to help us survive. And it wants to do it in the most pleasurable way. So we get these signals and messages from our body through hormones based on what we need and what we did the day before, because we have this circadian rhythm, these master clocks in our body that say, okay, this is we're go time, right? And all our cells are functioning this way. And we need to be really good listeners. So for instance, the way that we have bowel movements in general are pretty consistent. They're at the same time every day, and they're approximately the same weight every day, unless we're having some digestive distress, constipation, diarrhea, some food sensitivities, other things like that. But in general, our bowels give us the signal to go to the bathroom when it's the exact same weight. Our body communicates to us through these signals and messages, and we communicate to our body based on the way that we feel and the way that we eat and the way that we function. And so we need to have this relationship where we're saying, I'm honoring you, I'm seeing you, and I'm going to do what you need. And it's going to be this mutually beneficial relationship. And so it's interesting. We don't need to worry about calories. We need to worry about appetite and hunger, trusting that our body will tell us what it needs and how much it needs. That was very long-winded. Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. I'm so glad that you took the time to dive into that, because I think it's so important we really look at this from the new perspective that you offer. It makes so much sense. And it seems like we're kind of on the leading edge of some new development here.
Cool. Yes.
In your book, you talk about what is your why. So why is our why important?
Yeah. So many people we all know people who get very excited about the next best diet. And the reality is these people have a goal or a why to lose weight. And from the minute I opened my practice, I have been urging people to change their goals and their why. If our goal is only to lose weight, we're short-sighted. We're not looking at the big picture. Our goals should be at maintaining our weight loss, maintaining our weight, right? And so our whys should be a normal relationship with food. And I'm putting normal in quotes because I don't mean to trigger anybody in any way. But the reality is normal in my mind means something I trust, not worrying about what I'm going to eat on Monday, not worrying about what I'm going to eat on my vacation in, Hawaii next week, because I'm in this moment and I know that my my moral compass, my diet compass is completely intact. So I take my set of values wherever I go. So because I have a normal relationship with food, the side effect of that is really getting to your ideal body weight and maintaining it and also improving your health. So it's very important to look at my why. Is it I'm doing this to lose weight? Because if it is, I really want you to open your mind to so much more.
Earlier, you talked about eating when we're hungry. And some people might go, well, I feel like I'm always hungry. So when do I know when to eat?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So let's start with figuring out, how do we know we have to use the restroom? So Marianne, I'm going to ask you, what happens how do you know you have to pee?
You just know.
You just know. And what do you do when you get the signal or the thought, I have to pee? What do you do with that thought?
I get up and take care of it.
I'm going to just challenge you to think. You first scan your body and you recognize, okay, my bladder is filling up and I have some time before I need to make this an issue. But it's a good time to start assessing where the bathrooms are and also recognizing that I can finish this conversation, or recognizing that you can't, right? All of that is happening. Do you agree?
Yes, kind of plan it then.
Yeah. But you didn't wake up this morning and think, oh no, I have to go to the bathroom 6 times today and I really need to worry about where those toilets are going to be. You didn't, did you?
Oh, no.
But you will have to go to the bathroom today, right?
I better.
I mean, you better drink some water. But yeah, I mean, most people will have to go to the bathroom. And even if I go now, right now, it's not enough for the rest of the day. I will have to go again later. Right? So hunger is coming from our stomach. It occurs when the lining of our stomach gets low. Let me rephrase that. Our hormone ghrelin detects that our stomach levels of food are low, and it then sends the signal to our brain, food is a good idea. And then it's up to us to do the exact same thing we did with our bladder and to say, why am I having that thought? Now, for people who think they're always hungry, there's a very good chance they're also dealing with some emotional trauma, stress, boredom, feeling overwhelmed, being depressed. There's lots of reasons why. So just by taking the moment of scanning your body and checking in, where is that coming from? Is it coming from my stomach? Is it coming from my shoulders? Is my chest tight? Why am I having this thought? Is it because the food is right in front of me and now I think it's a good idea? All of these are reasons why we might have a thought, because your mind is producing thoughts in response to what is happening in your life. And if you are somebody who has trained your mind to think food is a good idea when you're in distress, kind of like me with shopping. Shopping is a good idea for every single emotion, not really needing anything that I was buying. So it's really important to be able to first see that you're having this thought, and then scanning your body, and then making a plan. Now, we make decisions from either a place of fear. There's not going to be any food later. I don't really want to miss out on that food. I don't really like the way that I'm feeling right now. And all these reasons could cause us to think food is a good idea, in addition to whatever discomfort our body is having. But the reality is we need to come back to a place of trust. I trust that this food will be there when I want it in 10 minutes or in 1 hour or in 3 hours. I trust I can have this club sandwich again tomorrow and every day for the rest of my life. If we've practiced restriction, then we're not going to have that trust, and we're going to have to work to get it back. And even the idea of work feels hard, and our mind doesn't want to do hard things. It wants to sleepwalk and find the easiest way to do things. So we're kind of have to laugh at some of the thoughts that we have and just remind our mind, we're okay, we're safe, you're safe, we're going to eat again soon. Or we already had a half a sandwich, I'm totally fueled, we're good for now. but we do operate from a place of fear. We just need to reverse that a little. Hunger is isolated to your stomach. It's not scary and it's not painful, but 9 out of 10 people will tell you it's really uncomfortable. Hunger is meant to cause a distress signal to your mind to say, our basic survival is being threatened. Pay attention to me and make a plan. Hunger gets stronger. It doesn't go away. And so if you can't tell if you're hungry in your stomach or just always hungry, don't eat. What'll happen is you'll know soon enough if you need food in your stomach. But just remember that anytime that you're feeling discomfort in your body, your mind is going to find a resolution that is more pleasurable than what you're experiencing. And that's why I sometimes say your mind is a liar, because you don't need to be saved every single moment. You are so capable of doing things that are hard and breathing through moments.
That sounds like a very primal part of our brain takes over during that time where we have to really kind of censor it in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course. I would agree.
And in your book, you talk about eat what you love. Well, what if someone loves ice cream or chocolate or coffee? I mean, how do we determine what we should eat and maybe what we should love less?
Yeah. So I talk about eating what you love and making sure the food loves you back. So I'm a registered dietitian with a degree in clinical nutrition. So obviously, I want you to choose foods that your body loves back and help you thrive. The problem is most people have restricted or label food. So if you're the type of person that says a food is healthy or unhealthy, that they should eat or shouldn't eat, or it's good or it's bad, that's the first place we have to start. We really have to create this solid foundation for you, because if you're really trying to build a house, which means, eating a certain way for your body and feeling a certain way, but your foundation is broken, the whole house is going to crumble over and over and over. And this is that futile diet cycle. And so at this point, when I'm giving you permission to eat what you love, I'm also asking you to be curious. Does it make you feel good? Are you having headaches? Do your eyes tear? Is your nose running? Are you clearing your throat? Do you have heartburn? Are you burping? Do you get bloated, nauseous? Do you get diarrhea, constipation? Is your stomach feeling sour, right? Do you have joint pain? Do you have itchy skin? Do you have eczema or psoriasis? Any of these mean that you're eating something that is not agreeing with your system. And it's time to get really curious about what that could be, because again, you're in this relationship with your body and you want your body to be well. So if you're causing inflammatory responses from ice cream or from garlic bread or from chicken, it's really important to take a look and say, I love chicken, but I also can see that there's 99 other options for me that I didn't even see before, right? And so it's really removing labels from food so you can grow. You will literally stop your flow if you start labeling foods, and you will be stuck in this shame and persecution cycle. So in order to grow, you're going to have to start trusting this process, which is eating foods you love that might sound scary to you. I mean, I recently had a client who has been restricted from pastries or shamed for loving pastries. And she had permission to eat them for the first time in her life. And she lost 10 pounds in 3 weeks because she only ate when she was hungry. And she started with half of her normal portion. And she started trusting that she could have another pastry later. And after about 3 weeks, she decided, I think I'm ready to move on from the pastries. I now feel like I can eat pastries, but I don't need pastries. And that's the aha moment. That's the reason why you're doing this.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Kim Shapira in regards to her new book, This Is What You're Really Hungry For: 6 Simple Rules to Transform Your Relationship with Food to Become Your Healthiest Self. We'll be right back after these messages.
With Breath Hub, you'll experience the transformative power of breath as it harmonizes your body, mind, and spirit. Recommended by experts in fitness, sports, psychology, and medicine. Meet the scientific way of being well. Breath Hub. Breathe better, live better.
Are you looking to untangle life's riddles? Discover the profound teachings of Dr. Shai Tabali, renowned philosopher, best-selling author, and your guide to self-empowerment. With methods that harmonize psychological and spiritual principles, Dr. Tabali's wisdom offers a pathway to holistic transformation. Take that first step today and join thousands globally and embrace the journey to higher consciousness. Visit shaitabali.com, that's SHAITUBALI.com now.
Are you chasing profitability yet losing fulfillment? Let me introduce you to your solution, the Relaunch Company. I'm Hillary DeCesar, an entrepreneurial performance coach, fearless leader of the Relaunch Company, here to help put the pedal to the metal and relaunch your business your way. Visit www.therelaunch.com. Take the free quiz to learn 3 steps towards waving goodbye to burnout and hello to success.
The book Terminal Cancer is a Misdiagnosis, authored by Danny Carroll, is on sale at Amazon now. Licensed psychologist and psychotherapist Tessa Antia-John-Guerra commented, "This is one of the most empowering books on the topic of cancer you will ever read." Award-winning author T.L. Needham commented, "This recommended book can be understood by anyone seeking answers, hope, and alternatives to a terminal diagnosis. Buy it now on Amazon.com.
Pandemonium. Fast forward 20 years. A U.S. president seizes control of all U.S. missiles, the power grid, the banking system, and every computer in America as he hides in an underground bunker. Pandemonium, a captivating sci-fi thriller where a hidden war, psychics, aliens, artificial intelligence, and transcendental love collide with the latest media technology. Pandemonium, live to all devices. Get your copy on paperback or digital. Free sample at getpsychic.org.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest Kim Shapira, and she's here sharing with us her new book, This Is What You're Really Hungry For: 6 Simple Rules to Transform Your Relationship with Food to Become Your Healthiest Self. Before we left for break, we were talking about how one of your clients will take a portion that she's going to eat throughout the day and break that up, eat half of that. I find that so empowering. So many of us come with, I think, food stories.
Yeah.
I hear about some people, like their families tell them, oh, you have to clear your plate, where you have other people that are more or less given other things like, oh, you're looking a little chubby, maybe you should stop eating. Or
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes. So I would highly recommend that you start reframing food as food, and calorie is a calorie. So we're just going to ignore anything about calories, just totally honoring the fact that a calorie is a calorie is a calorie, and we need calories. And then we're going to start looking at food. I like to say we're going to call all food, anything that even has a calorie that you're eating. So it could be Skittles, it could be a glass of wine, it could be cheesecake, it can be a Caesar salad. Anything that has calories, is going to be called a banana. And it's very interesting. Most people who are handed a banana stop and think, why am I having this banana right now? And they will be very easily able to put it aside until they need it. Bananas are just one of those foods. People don't eat them unless they're hungry. And so if we start identifying all food as bananas, and then let's just take, for instance, you're having an Italian dinner and you just had a little chicken Parmesan with Caesar salad, and you ate when you were hungry. You started with half. You're totally satisfied. You don't need more. And then the waitress comes out and says, "Who would like a banana?" Now, it's at this point where you would say, "Oh, I love bananas, but I'm actually not hungry for a banana." Right? And so just by seeing everything as a banana, we stop sensationalizing dessert or wine or food. We're starting to now get inside of our body and seeing, what does my body actually need in this moment?
That actually works perfect because I can't see anyone going, "Oh, I'll have another banana. Thank you."
I know. It's true.
Oh, that's just such a clever way of doing that. And do people tend to just anticipate food more than like they're going to enjoy eating a cheesecake more than they think they're actually going to?
Mm. I hear a lot of people call themselves foodies. And I mean, I talk about this in my book too. I don't think there's anybody alive who isn't a foodie. I mean, don't we all love food? I mean, don't we all? So the thing is about it is I actually don't think people are enjoying their food, but they think they are. And so what I mean is we we know, because studies have been done on this exact fact, when we are eating something, let's say cheesecake, think about it for a second. I take my fork, I take my bite, and I put it in my mouth. What is my hand doing? It's already prepping the next bite. If we were truly enjoying our food, our fork would be down, our posture would be reclined, we would be paying attention to what is in our mouth, really enjoying the flavors. But all of our reward is in the anticipation. I get to put that in my mouth. And there's that pleasure part, right? We want to survive every moment in pleasure. And I'm now rewarded with this idea that I get to put this in my mouth. And we're taking the total focus off of enjoying food. And what I want to do is put the focus back on the food. And there's so much in that one single bite of cheesecake, right? So we could take that one bite and even cut that bite in half and make that bite 2 or 3 bites and even get more enjoyment. Like, do we need a big bite? And do we need to be worrying about the next bite? Let's focus on the bite we're eating.
And do people really need to focus on clearing their plates, or is that just something that their parents told them they had to do?
Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. So we are not trash cans. We do not need to focus on clearing our plate. It's interesting. My first rule is to eat when you're hungry, to take your normal portion and to cut it in half and wait 15 minutes. And people get really nervous and skittish with this idea of normal portion. And so there's that clean plate idea. If you and I were going to a restaurant and we ordered Chinese chicken salads and we ordered just a regular Chinese chicken salad, how do you think you would feel if yours was served in a small bowl and mine was served in a large bowl?
I think people would look at that going, "Well, what's happening here?"
Yeah, exactly. There would be a lot of problems. So what's happened is the restaurants prepare the same portion for every single person. Somebody who's 10 years old, somebody who's 65 years old, somebody who's 5'2", somebody who's 6'3", somebody who plays soccer, and somebody who is a stay-at-home, kid who doesn't play soccer, right? So we have all of these things going into this portion. We know that we tend to eat 30% more food when it's in front of us. And we know the chef is preparing a portion that is ideal for aesthetic reasons. Okay. So it's really important for us to pay attention to what our physical body needs, knowing that we can't possibly all need the same amount of food. We just can't. Don't finish your plate. But sometimes we need to finish our plate. So there is that.
Thank you. I appreciate you spending the time to talk with us about that. So you talk about taking 10,000 steps a day. How is that for people that say, "Well, I work at a desk all day, so how am I going to do that?"
Yeah. We don't need to be perfect. We need to actually lose this idea that we have to be perfect. Your physical body needs movement. There's the story of the fox and the possum. when a possum detects that it's going to be hunted by the fox, it lays down and plays dead. And the fox will come up, it will see that the possum is dead, and then it will walk away. When the possum feels safe, it gets up and it shakes off the energy, the anxiety that the fox imposed, and then walks away like nothing happened. We don't have the ability to shake off a lot during the day, but we also have a lot of things that trigger us throughout our day. We have new emotions that come every 15 minutes, and our body needs to take deep breaths. Our heart needs to beat a little bit faster. We need to move our body for just physical well-being. The average American walks 3,000 to 4,000 steps, and they're obese, and the obesity is linked to many, many, many diseases. By walking 7,000 steps, and I say walking, you can also do arm movements and dance and lift weights and do all sorts of other things to get these steps. When you walk 7,000, you lower your risk of sudden death by 50%, and you decrease your risk of so many diseases. Now, I'm in this practice of helping people try and stay at their normal weight, their ideal body weight. And we need 10,000 steps for that. 10,000 steps helps balance our circadian rhythms, which is our wake and sleep cycles. It helps all of our adrenal glands, which is our stress hormones. It helps with our mood. It helps with weight maintenance and digestion and so many other things. It literally decreases your risk of disease by 30%. So if you are somebody who walks 3,000 steps, that's totally okay. What you need to do is start adding 100 every single day. You don't need to beat yourself up to get there faster. You just need to be progressive and a little bit more than you did yesterday. I can almost guarantee that you taking the time in your day to move your body will soon become your most favorite part of your day. And food will probably only end up taking one important part of your life rather than the most important part.
With all the people that you work with, where do you think people tend to get hung up the most?
On the half portion, starting with half portions. Yeah. It makes their mind go into overdrive of FOMO, of missing out, of not being able to have that food again, which is, I can understand if you're on vacation and you won't be in that restaurant again. I can understand if you're out, for a special occasion, but you can also take that food home and have it tomorrow for breakfast or lunch or dinner. Most of us can Postmates and repeat a meal 2 days in a row. Most of us can practice making new foods, making the food and recreating it at home, or just remaking the food at home. But people get really hung up that it's not going to be enough food, and they're forgetting that they're going to eat again in 2 or 3 hours. And so it's really, really important to kind of find your mind and to let your mind know that you are safe and fueled and that you can eat more.
How important is having like water, a right amount of water? And I hear people sometimes will say, well, I had a whatever, like protein water or something like that they say, well, it has water in it, so I'm okay.
Yeah. So we do get our water from fruits, vegetables, soups, sodas, coffees, teas. They have other ingredients that also need to be removed from our body. So I don't call those things water. I would much rather you drink 8 cups of water every single day. Water is basically the way that we naturally cleanse every one of our organs, and it's free from tannins or other vitamins or other ingredients like gums or fake sugars, things like that. So it's really important to drink our water. I would say water is the secret sauce to many things. If we don't drink enough water, our kidneys can't properly detox in the way that it needs to. And what ends up happening is our liver says to the kidneys, you know what, I'll help you out and I'll help you detox. The problem is the liver's job is to metabolize fats, which is cholesterol, triglyceride, and body fat. And the liver, when it's doing the kidney's job, doesn't do its own job. And so we start storing body fat. Our triglycerides go up, which puts us at a risk for stroke. Our cholesterol goes up, which puts us at a risk for heart attacks. So just by drinking water, you're basically alleviating all of your organs from being overtaxed and helping your body detox. It's very important. Again, you don't have to be perfect, but you really have to be intentional. And it's better to do it 5 out of 7 days or 6 out of 7 days than not doing it at all.
I would think that if you're intentional, you can kind of gauge throughout the day how much you're drinking as far as water goes.
Yeah. I like to put, like I love drinking out of a straw. So I have like a big mason jar cup and it's 32 ounces. So it's 4. And I like to drink 2 of those. I don't always do it, but I really do try and be intentional every day.
You often hear about sleep being such a big part of what keeps people not at the weight they wish that they could be. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah. So I think I've always talked about sleep, but what I noticed in the beginning of 2020, in March of 2020, people's sleep really became more impacted. And what's also really interesting is there are multiple aisles at every drugstore with sleep medications. And there are so many sleep issues, people having a hard time falling asleep, people having a hard time staying asleep, and people having a hard time waking up feeling rested. So jet lag, most people recognize as traveling from, the East Coast to the West Coast or the West Coast to the United Kingdom, right? Like this is where we get jet lag. But by missing an hour or by changing our sleep, we're actually creating a jet lag situation. So what I've said before is that our body thrives in consistency and it likes the same amount of weight in food. It also likes to go to bed at the same time and wake at the same time. And so that is what's called our circadian rhythm. We really normally get a melatonin, which is a naturally occurring hormone in our body. We get the release of melatonin when the lights go dim and when it gets, when we're like around 9 o'clock at night. And so we really want to pay attention to this window and not miss it. Some people don't like to go to bed so early, and so they push through. And this lowers the amount of melatonin, having them have, this makes it harder for people to fall asleep. And what's worse is that some people eat really close to bed, and that actually is a signal, right? Because these are all signals we're giving our body. So you're signaling your body by eating late at night, this is the time that we wake up. And also, if you're drinking alcohol, this is also a signal that is probably causing an inflammatory response. So these things really do harm our body. So listening to our body when the melatonin is released and putting ourselves into a good sleep pattern and allowing ourselves to go to sleep really helps us fall asleep. If we're eating close to bed, if we have inflammation, if we have a lot of stress, if our hormones are out of balance, then we have a hard time staying asleep or falling back asleep. And so we really need to adjust our schedules to manage how our physical body is doing during the day. It's really important, I would say, to talk to your doctor if you're a type of person who can't fall back asleep, because there are lots of things you can do to support your body that are not medication based and they are temporary. And then the other is having a hard time waking up in the morning. So many people love that snooze button, and I would highly recommend you do not hit it, because we can fall back into a sleep cycle and now we become overtired. So what's the most important thing for your sleep is to be able to go to sleep around the same time and wake up at the same time, no matter what. And even if this is not something you have done before, you can start right now. And if you start right now and you go to sleep tonight, right when you start feeling drowsy, and you wake up tomorrow earlier, like at a normal time for your body, which would be about 7 to 9 hours after you go to sleep, tomorrow you might be a little tired. It's going to take you 3 days to rebalance your circadian rhythm. So when we are tired, we tend to make poor choices. That's when I would want you to be very mindful. I'm tired. I need to not think that I need anything like extra coffee or chocolate to help me right now, right? Just allow yourself, I'm tired. I'm working on my schedule. In 3 days, I will feel better. I know it doesn't sound great, but there's no way around it.
Well, I think it's good when people know the information of how this affects our bodies and what to expect, because a lot of times I've done this before myself, where we push ourselves because we've got to work late, get up early in the morning, do the little hamster wheel all over again. And we're running about on 6 hours sleep a night, thinking that we're good when we're kind of falling apart.
Yeah, the average American does get 6.5 hours. So we really need to get it to the 7. And what happens when our body detects stress, and stress can be from, a phone call. It can be from being overwhelmed. It could be from a deadline. It could be from a test. I mean, so many things can create stress. But and hunger can also be stress. Having to pee can be stress. Our body doesn't know the difference. It just knows that there's stress. And when our body is stressed, it actually trips off 3 different systems: the hippocampus, the pituitary, and the adrenal. And in less than 10 seconds, 1,400 different sensations occur, causing an alarm in our body. What's kind of cool is that our nervous system is the only system we can regulate and control. And we can do this by taking deep breaths once we are recognizing, okay, we've been tripped off, our alarm is going off. Let me take some deep breaths and calm my body down. But when we don't sleep well and it does trip off our adrenal glands, this messes with our blood sugar. It also messes with our sex hormones like estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, and it spikes our cortisol levels. So all of these things really need to be supported in your life.
Well, I find that really interesting. You often hear of the cycle of the hormones. How do people tell? How can they get to this point where they're telling, okay, is it the hormones, lack of water? What is it that's really keeping me from moving forward?
Yeah, well, our body is made up of hormones. So I'm going to go with both, right? I would definitely try the 8 cups of water because you need it and you're going to feel great the next day. Like you may not feel so great today from drinking the water, but it's going to work on a 24-hour cycle. So your body is 60 to 70% water. You need to replenish any water that's lost, and that will help with fatigue, mood, and so many other things. The hormones are interesting because they cycle, and especially these 3. And even I'm saying 3, but there's, multiple forms of estrogen, and in any way they could get stuck. There's somebody described like estrogen kind of like a bathtub. So there's the faucet the estrogen can come out of, there's the tub the estrogen can fill up, and there's the drain the estrogen can go out of. And any one of these places we can have some stuck problems. So it's really recognizing and being able to identify, I'm losing hair, I'm gaining facial hair, my breasts are always sore, I'm gaining fat in my lower abdominal area. I'm not sleeping well. I have vaginal dryness or itchiness or some other issues. Recognizing these are your body's way of saying, hey, pay attention to me. I need some support over here. And again, they're cyclical. The thing about hormone imbalances is that we can address them and fix them almost immediately. So just pay attention and don't ignore your signs and symptoms. They could be just need a little support.
Very encouraging for people. Let's check out and see what's going on, because you hear a lot of people go, I never lose weight. I can't make it happen.
Yeah.
It's probably because of they've got these other points they've got to check on. Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
In your book, you have so many points where people can use this as kind of a workbook. Why was it important to include that in this book?
Because I think we have to take action. We have to be aware of where we are getting in our own way. I mean, we are the ones getting in our own way. I do it all the time, and I'm not so self-aware, but I'm working on it, right? And we need these taking action steps so I can take a minute and see how I am actually tripping myself up. So I can move forward. I always think if I burn myself once in the oven, grabbing something, I'm really not likely to do that twice, right? And so if I can be aware of where I'm getting that burn, I can course correct from that. So I really hope that people use those taking action steps.
Can you share a story with us about maybe someone that's gone through this program with you and come out the other side?
I mean, so many. What would you like to know? I can give you.
Let's do IBS.
IBS. Well, not having IBS. How about that? How about recognizing people have food sensitivities, and just some emotional trauma and being able to find their mind and recognizing why they're even having, a constricted stomach or thoughts about food helps them kind of cope and recognize as an opportunity when I have that thought to check in with their body and then to really cope in a way that's really ideal for what's going on in their body, recognizing food sensitivities, and striving for a bowel movement that is, long S-shaped silent sinker and achieving it. I mean, that's the win, right? And then staying that way. Now, we can't always predict the storm. And for somebody like that, it could be eating a food that they didn't know had milk in it. And milk is, a sensitive thing and for them, and that could have been a problem, but being able to get right back on the journey, that's the win right there. I was just thinking when you asked me that, I was thinking about this one client. He was a 19-year-old. And when I met him, I didn't have time to see him right away. So I asked him to keep some food records for me. At the time, he was 200 pounds and he was eating 2 meals a day. And the only thing I asked him to do when I did see him that first week was to take those 2 meals and to make them into 5. And, he ended up losing 9 pounds the next week. Now, 9 pounds, I don't really recommend it for anybody. It's too much and we don't need to go that fast. But in his case, that's what happened. And it was just one simple change. Our body is regulated by blood sugar and we need to eat every couple hours to keep that regulation going. And so I would say, just trust this process.
I think that's such wise advice, Kim. My goodness, your book I felt was just so powerful. It is actually going to stay in my private collection. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
They can find me on all the social sites at Kim Shapira Method. I have group classes if anyone is interested in doing this journey with other people. I see clients privately and I'm in Los Angeles. I think I'm everywhere. I feel like I'm everywhere at Kim Shapira Method.
Well, how exciting to be part of a group. You can do that online, right?
Yeah, it's all through Zoom. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Kim. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, This Is What You're Really Hungry For. 6 simple rules to transform your relationship with food to become your healthiest self. This Is What You're Really Hungry For is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And if you don't see it on the shelf, ask for them to order it. And remember, support our indie bookstores. You can visit Kim at her website again. That's Kim, SHAPIRA method.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.